Hi, this is Darren with Smartsheet Guru. In this video, I'm going to show 3 Appsheet beginner tips. The first tip is the importance of the key column. This column is used extensively and is important as it provides a unique value to reference each of the rows in your data tables. The best unique key to use is one that is not meaningful in your data set. And what I mean by that is, for example, you may be tempted to use, say, an email address as the key column because everyone has a unique email address. However, email addresses can change for various reasons. And if this is your data column, then changing the value will break all data links between that record and other tables. It is best to use a key value that you would never have to change. Appsheet has a function to generate unique IDs, and this is a great solution when adding data into a table through an Appsheet app. So in this table, I have the initial value set to unique ID function. And so whenever a new employee is added through Appsheet, it'll generate a unique ID, and it'll look like this here. So that's not very meaningful to someone reading it, but it's a unique ID. And if this person's name were to change for some reason, or the email were to change, or the department changes, we can always reference them by this unique ID, and everything will be good. The second tip I wanted to give involves reference columns. And I have an example here set up. Reference columns are used to reference data from another column in another table. In this case, assigned to references the employees table. It is very useful for drop-down menus. So let me show you an example here. When I go to add a task name, I can choose the assigned to. I can choose from the employees. Now, when data is saved in a reference column, the row key is saved. And so I'll show you that here in the table. So I already created a task, and you can see in the assigned to column, it didn't save the name John Smith. It saved the ID of that employee from the employees row. See this ID here matches this ID here. You may be wondering, well, how does a drop-down menu display names and it really saves the unique ID? Well, that's because when you use a reference column, even though it saves the ID of that record that you choose, it displays the label of that row. So in this case, in the employees table, the label for each row is the computed name, which is the first and last name put together with a space. Finally, if you develop an app and you're referencing a column in formulas, you use that column name in a lot of different places, but you decide that you want to change the name because you don't like it for whatever reason in your app. Say you don't like the name, you want to change task name to something else, then you could go into the actual table here, and you could change task name here to something else. Maybe change it to job, but then you would have to come into task and you have to regenerate the structure. It would change this to job, and then anywhere you referenced task name, say any of your expression formulas and any of your behaviors, your automation, you'd have to go through there and update it everywhere. And this would be especially painful if you had things like email body templates or email attachment templates. So if for some reason you decide, well, I'm using this task name column everywhere, I don't want to go through the trouble of changing it everywhere because that's pretty risky if you have a very complex app. You can simply come into the table here in Appsheet. You can edit the column, and under the display option, you can choose a different display name. So we'll call it job. Done, we save that. So now when we look at that task form, it no longer says task name, it says job. That display name does not affect any references in formulas or expressions, so we're safe there. One thing I wanted to note too about the IDs, you can see I'm displaying these IDs here on the form. Usually you would hide these fields so that way you wouldn't see them because they're really not meaningful for the user. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more Appsheet tips and videos in the future.